Are you seeing this?
That drift signature?
That engine's been dead 300 years.
Tell that to whoever's running it.
Ensign Vry Colt had logged 400 incident reports in 6 standard years of scout duty. None of them had ever opened with a sprinkler timer. 2,000 kilometers below the picket ship's hull, in a garage that smelled like WD-40 and cut grass, Pete Callahan held a rectangular little box in one hand and a Phillips head screwdriver in the other, muttering at a sprinkler controller that had been blinking 12 o'clock since March. He wasn't fixing it exactly. He was negotiating with it, the way he negotiated with the water heater, the riding mower, and occasionally his own knees. Vry's console pinged once, a soft, apologetic little chime, the kind reserved for readings too strange to be errors and too small to be threats. Localized probability drift, subcontinental, decaying within acceptable bounds. She logged it as instrument noise and went back to her tea. It pinged again 4 minutes later. Then 6 minutes after that, then 5, then 6 again, a rhythm too clean for weather and too small for a weapon. Whatever was happening down there, it was happening on a schedule. What kind of natural phenomenon kept office hours? She forwarded the readings to Dr. Selamorn, staff scientist, mostly because handing a mystery to someone with a doctorate felt better than owning it herself. Sella ran the signature through 4 separate classification models and got the same unwelcome answer each time. It matched a resonance pattern last recorded during the Threnody collapse, the day an entire sector's causality had been quietly, surgically rewritten into rubble. That engine was destroyed, Sella said, mostly to reassure herself. The console did not agree. If the engine was gone, then what, exactly, was pulsing on schedule under a residential rooftop? Could be a fragment, Vry offered. A splinter that survived the purge, decaying in someone's junk pile. Fragments don't hold a rhythm for 11 days, Sella said. Fragments scream once and go quiet. This is behaving. She did not like the word behaving. It implied intention, and intention was the one thing a collapse-class engine was never, ever supposed to have on its own. By the time Commander Ashra Den was read in, the readings had stabilized into something worse than a weapon, a rhythm. 6 pulses a day, evenly spaced, each one a small, surgical alteration to local probability, executed with a precision no ascendancy engineer had ever managed outside a fully shielded lab. Ashra had served during the collapse cleanup as a junior officer, young enough that she still remembered the sector maps with a redacted middle, the systems that simply stopped being systems. She read the report twice before she trusted her own eyes. "Send a probe," she ordered, her voice flat in the particular way that meant she was not flat at all. "I want to see what's holding a collapse-class engine steady enough to run on a schedule." Pete, for his part, had found the little humming box at his uncle's estate sale for $4, wedged between a box of mismatched fondue forks and a lamp shaped like a lighthouse. He'd mistaken it for an ugly old transistor radio, bought it out of pity more than need, and kept it because setting it on the sprinkler control and giving it a firm tap made the blinking stop. He did not know what probability recalibration meant. He knew the box made things work right, the same way a good kick fixed the ice machine down at the diner, and that was enough philosophy for one Tuesday. The probe's first pass nearly fried itself parsing what it saw. The device, Ashra's people were already calling it the Requiem Loom, since nobody wanted to say collapse engine out loud twice, wasn't just stable. It was being actively, casually recalibrated by hand, mid-operation, by an organic with no shielding, no neural interface, and as far as their instruments could tell, no idea what he was touching. "He's not operating it," Sella said, staring at the feed. "He's petting it, like it's a dog that keeps a leaking radiator." Nobody on the bridge had a follow-up question for that. That was the moment Vry pulled the historical logs and set her tea down without drinking it. Every collapse-class engine on record had required a shielded crew of at least 12, environmental suits rated for reality bleed, and a fail-safe team standing by to sever the connection the instant an operator's mind started to fray under the paradox load. Even with all of that, the failure rate had hovered near 60%. Pete Callahan had been running 6 cycles a day for 11 straight days, alone, in a garage in sandals. "He should be dead," Vry said slowly. "He should be several different kinds of dead. He should be a stain the engine hasn't finished deciding the shape of. Run it again, Ashra said. Vry ran it again. The number did not change, and neither did the sandals. Do we intervene? Vry asked. Standard protocol says a live collapse class engine gets a containment team and a quarantine buoy inside the hour. Standard protocol also says the operator should be a smear on the wall by cycle 3, Sella said. I don't think we're doing standard protocol today. Nobody on the bridge argued with that, mostly because nobody had a better idea, and partly because the readings kept insisting, cycle after cycle, that the smear on the wall had gone inside for a sandwich. Sella found the answer 2 hours later, and she did not like it. Ascendancy neurology was ordered, clean, linear, built for certainty, which was precisely why a collapse-class paradox load tore ascendancy minds apart the way a storm tears apart a filing cabinet. Human neurology, according to 11 days of passive scans, was not ordered. It was loud, contradictory, half-finished, constantly overriding its own conclusions before breakfast, and a mind that already lived in that kind of noise simply didn't fracture under probability stress. It filed the loom's chaos under Tuesday and kept going. It's not that he can survive rewriting reality, Sella said quietly, watching the feed loop again. It's that his species does something close to it just to decide what to have for lunch. Commander Ashra Den read the full report twice before she spoke. An engine the Ascendancy had buried 3 centuries ago as too dangerous for even their own most disciplined operators was currently being used by an untrained civilian to stop a garden hose timer from blinking. Worse, he was getting better at it. The pulses had grown shorter and cleaner over 11 days, the drift tightening, the way a man's aim tightens on the 100th throw of a dart, and not the first. Somewhere in a records vault 3 jumps away, an entire committee had spent 3 centuries drafting containment doctrine for a device that a man in sandals had apparently solved by tapping it twice and telling it to behave. Recommend classification, her aide said carefully. Weapon, artifact, or species, Ashra said. Recommend we classify the species. Pete never learned any of this. What he learned that same evening was that the humming box also fixed the wobble in his kitchen table, which he considered the superior use case, frankly, since nobody had ever won an argument by pointing a sprinkler at it. He wrapped the box in a dish towel, set it on the shelf next to the fuse tester, and told his neighbor Dave over the fence that he could borrow it over the weekend if his card table kept tipping during poker. Dave asked what was actually inside it. Pete said he genuinely had no idea, and that he'd stopped asking questions the box didn't seem interested in answering. Dave said that was probably healthy. Pete said that was probably the nicest thing anyone had said about his garage in years, and went back inside to see about the ice maker, which had started making a noise he didn't love. 40 light-years up, a scout ship quietly updated Earth's planetary file from unremarkable to a single word requiring 3 levels of clearance, just to read. Watch. Beneath that word, someone had appended a second line, unofficial and unauthorized, that Commander Ashra Den chose not to have removed. Do not, under any circumstances, offer to help him fix anything else. Dave's card table, for the record, has not wobbled since.